On the marketplace, let's now settle for the very first story. The IMF team is in town to carry out an assessment of Ghana's program and the proposed revenue measures in the mid-year budget review. Why is this visit being described as crucial in finding a sustainable solution to the revenue challenges? George Viafi tells us more.
The staff visit is being described as crucial because the fund wants to ensure that government is going ahead with plans to review the revenue measures with the possibility of increasing taxes to make up for the revenue shortfalls. The fund has maintained that government needs to find a more sustainable way in dealing with the revenue shortfalls rather than what is being described as the piecemeal approach. Therefore, the fund will be pushing the revenue measures to be reviewed and possibly increasing some of the tax rates and expand the net to cover other sectors and businesses that are not meeting their tax obligations. The team also wants to gauge how far government has gone in preparing the ground for the announcement and the implementation of these proposed new measures, which is expected to be announced in the 2018 mid-year budget review. The team also wants to ascertain the preparedness of the country towards exiting the IMF program. According to the IMF, the program is likely to be completed in April 2019. This is subject to meeting those conditions, including implementation of some critical structural reforms.
Away from that, the new chief executive of MTN Ghana, Selom Adadivo, has assumed office. Now, this was after he was confirmed as the new boss of the telecoms giant. We tell you more about the new CEO in this report.
Mr. Adadivo's appointment is to take effect from today. Prior to his appointment, he was the chief executive of a mobile operator, Digicel, which is based in Haiti and operates in some countries in the Caribbean and the Americas. He was also the chief commercial officer and head of mobile financial services for Millicom Tigo Ghana. Mr. Adadivo is an alumnus of the Watson School, University of Pennsylvania, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He takes over from Ebenezer Sante, who was recently appointed as vice president of the MTN Group, overseeing some countries in Africa. It's believed that Mr. Adadivo would bring wide-ranging skills to his new role and the experience in the telecom space to help grow MTN. It also could confirm MTN's commitment to the local content policy of looking up to indigents to handle the top managerial positions in the company. This is coming after Ebenezer was appointed as chief executive of MTN Ghana before moving on to his new role.
We now turn attention to the oil and gas sector, and the Sankofa Jinyame Integrated Oil and Gas Project commences commercial production on June 26. But there have been some concerns as to whether there is an appropriate infrastructure to receive the significant amount of gas expected to be churned out of the field for processing. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACE Ben Boachi, who spoke in an interview with Joy Business recently, questioned the absence of appropriate infrastructure to take up the gas could pose some challenges for the country. He's calling for the extension of some gas pipelines to handle the excess gas to be produced from the field.
No, ordinarily it should be good news because they're going to push a lot of gas into Ghana, which would be good for power generation and also for industry. But we are a bit worried because we haven't seen progress, to consume the power or to coincide with the production of gas, because we expected car power to move to the Western Basin to consume the gas. It hasn't happened. The infrastructure to make that happen doesn't exist. So we don't know what plans government has to actually make use of the gas. But the danger is that if we get a gas and we don't use it, we're still going to pay for it because it's a take-or-pay agreement. So that is a risk to government. So immediately we need to find a way to use the gas. Other than that, we're going to have to pay for gas that is not available.
How best do you think we could strike a good deal?
No, I mean, the deal is done. All you need is to use the gas and pay for it. So we have to make the systems in place to be able to utilize the gas. They are constructing a pipeline to be able to reverse the gas to the east so that the pipelines that are probably stranded in the eastern corridor can have access to the gas. But my worry really is between 26th of this month, when gas starts operating at a time when this construction works to make gas usable.
And that was ASEP. Now, so my colleague Norvan Akwa Hayford has been engaging some officials of ENI, which is the main partner of the Sankofa field, as to whether the company is ready to churn out gas on the scheduled date of June 26. He joins me here in the studio to answer some of these questions. Now, Norvan, are we ready to see, Sankofa Gas produces first gas on 26 June?
We are very much ready. We understand from the company that work is on schedule. Currently, there is commissioning happening at Sanzure where the onshore facility is. And so they are hoping that at the end of the month, they would start gas production for us.
All right, so clarify it, because before then, people have raised questions, including ASEP, about the presence or the availability of an onshore facility to process gas, since we know that gas will not go to Ghana Gas. What is the situation?
Well, at Zanzure, this particular facility will receive the gas from the FPSO and will compress it and release it for the national grid, or release it to Water River Authority, who will then use it for the thermal plants in the country. So it's a facility that has been built to be able to receive the gas from the Jinyami fields, that is the Sankofa Jinyami fields, and then be able to compress it. That is processing it anyway, which will then be used for our thermal plant. Don't forget that we are going to use all the gas from this particular Sankofa field domestically. We are not exporting anything, and so for 15 good years we will be receiving, and each day we are looking at a production of around 180 million cubic feet of gas.
Okay, that's going to be maximum production.
Maximum production,
Right. And which company is receiving the gas?
It's a facility that was put together by the partners, and so the company itself that has signed off on its GMPC. Remember that it's a partnership. That is the Sankofa Jinyami Fields. It's a partnership between ENI itself as the lead operators, Vitol, and then GMPC itself. But they signed that contract with GMPC.
It will take you about
this particular gas.
All right. And what, again, is going to be the impact, apart from power generation in the country, and it's going to up our revenue base? What again should we expect?
If you look at it, if you look at the energy mix that we have in this country, you get to know that it's very expensive when you're using crude to power these thermal plants. And so to have gas, which is being produced by ourselves, and then we are receiving it to be able to power these thermal plants, in the energy mix, if you look at the calculations, it definitely will have an impact on the tariffs. Some reductions will come in there. And so it's something that we are all looking forward to. When you come to the cheapest sources of power in the country, you can talk of solar, wind, and all that. But gas is also one of the areas that is seen that, it will definitely bring down the cost of, electricity for consumers in this country.
Talking about solar brings to mind the decision by ENI also to go into other forms of investments in energy. What are some of these?
Well, currently they have some kind of agreement with the Water River Authority to ensure that, they'll put up the solar farm, but this time on the Water River. And so this is not going to be on land, because if you want to do solar production and you want to do it on land, it means that you're going to take away huge vast hectares of farmlands, from farmers to be able to do what you want to do. But they are looking at having this on the Water River, some kind of solar farm on the Water River, and ensure that they can produce some electricity in the country.
Thank you very much, and let's wait peacefully for next week when we see the gas coming out of Sankofa.
Obviously it will.
And that was Norvan Akwa Hayford. He's been sharing some thoughts on the decision or the start of commercial production of gas by ENI to through Sanzure to an onshore facility, which will then be processed for power production. Meanwhile, former Petroleum Minister Emmanuel Kofi-Boah is upbeat the Sankofa Jinyami project would impact greatly on Ghana's economic development, especially power production. Sharing his thoughts in an interview with Joy Business, Mr. Boah said proceeds from the field could be used to retire some legacy debts in the energy sector.
We have always said that the ENI project is really a game changer in terms of security of fuel supply for our power plants. Remember, Ghana Gas has been giving us gas around 100 million scarf. The ENI project at a minimum will give us about 150 million standard cubic, and at a maximum about 180. We know that when they start, they can go up to about 170. This is more like 50% more than what Ghana Gas, Jubilee Gas is giving us. this has huge implication for our country in terms of our power stability. It's a very good news for Ghana. I think it's critical that, as I had said earlier last week, that we work to address the indebtedness issues, especially the Ghana gas indebtedness, and make sure we use the ESLA, the portion of ESLA that is intended to address the legacy debts in the right direction, so that we can really deal with that. But it's important we deal with that, because the gas that is coming, the commitments are that we have to be very prompt in our payments. If we are not prompt in our payment, it has serious implications for us as a country. One of the criticisms earlier had always been the price, the cost. Well, today we know, for example, we said at the time that, look, the gas price was not a final gas price. Those were tentative, and the real cost of the project will determine the final price of gas. Already we know, and the minister had already disclosed here in Parliament that we have had a savings of over $600 million. It is important that we apply those savings to help reduce the cost of the gas price as had been negotiated. This has always been the case. We had already projected that gas price will be determined at the end. And I'm very happy that we've been vindicated. But it's very important that we do that. And so I'm calling on the minister to engage here now with GMPC to make sure we can have a final determination of a gas price that is lower than had been projected, now that we are close to knowing the final numbers, so that the people of Ghana can have the benefit.
So let's stay on energy a little longer, and we're trying to get in touch with energy expert Kwadwo Poku to tell us more about pricing of gas under the Sankofa project, which became a controversy earlier when the project itself took off. And we have Kwadwo Poku, energy expert, on Skype. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the market, please.
Hi, good afternoon.
Right. So I believe you've been following the proceedings and the fact that finally gas from Sankofa field is coming out next week, to be precise. Now, one controversial issue that came up was the issue about the pricing of gas to be churned out of Sankofa. What's your take on the right pricing of gas?
Well, mostly gas is payment by your investment cost. Now, obviously, you need to recoup or amortize the debt used in some of these. So because it's a recovery, whatever the government is with is what you, the partners, the told the government that, look, as to construct this facility, we will need to charge $8 per MMBTU. Now, going forward, that they've been some, and the World Bank is insisting that the price should be lowered. Anything that was made construction should now reflect the price that you are going to pay. Because if you are going to cost $9.8 per MMBTU, now that price is low, your construction cost is low, you should be able to charge. So they are recommending $2 per MMBTU. And that also has, it means that the MPC is supposed to have a reserve account, 4.5 account. If you leave at the 9.8 BTU, CMPC has to find about 220 in that reserve account. But if what the World Bank is saying is true, and the price is $7 per MMBTU, then it means that you now have to reserve account by $1 million to about $250 million. So if they are able to use this price, go to the benefit, and you will have it. It's for even the customer. So these gases fuel our electricity, and we can enjoy further reductions.
Now, given the fact that the cost of total cost of production reduced because earlier it went to Parliament, or the producers told Parliament that we've saved as a country $600 million or so. Now, would this require necessarily a renegotiation of the gas price at this stage?
Yes, it does. It's simple project financing. Your price is based on how much you are invested, because you need, I said earlier, 100% coverage. So you cannot still charge me $9.8 if your cost based on which you take 9.8 no longer holds true. So now that you make the savings of as we are being told, then it means that 8 years or 9 years or 10 years that you want to cover your food, less. The other argument is that if we continue with 9.8 without the reduction, it means that we will pay off quicker. Okay. But as a country, since gas goes a long way to affect our livelihood, we would rather take the reduction now, so that the 7th will translate into tariffs for you and I.
All right, so if these increased prices are to be translated into tariffs, would it necessarily negate the fact that more gas would mean more power to reduce cost of power generation?
Well, as you heard my brother Ben said from Asia, it's very unfortunate that all the powers that lead the government, that they are aware that the was going to come on stream this year. But you realize that the auxiliary facility that will use the gas is not there. Now, gas is coming on next week. That means we are going to have excess gas. But this excess gas is going to be in one entry. They should have been.
Mr. Poku, before you go on, Mr. Poku, before you go on, ENI has made us aware that the processing facility onshore is available at Sanzure in the Western region.
Yes, it's available in the Western region. So we still have a problem where plants are in Tema and they will have no gas. And imagination that you now hear Mr. will come to tell us that you sign an agreement with gas to bring LNG and all these things. And we are going to have excess gas in the Western corridor and the Eastern corridor, Tema, where most of our plants are, doesn't have the gas. And for 4 years, the ministry have been talking about the best gas pipeline, and nobody has got it. So some of these things really put your imagination why it's just unfortunate.
All right, so we know it's an integrated oil and gas project, but we hear less about the oil. Do you know how much oil is coming and how it will impact on the economy as well?
The numbers. Field is exciting because of this gas nature. In the past, when a field doesn't have as much gas, people were not. But since gas has become very important in our generation, it's needed. In this case, that we need the gas for local power generation. That's why you hear gas. Now, also, what made this very expensive is because the extra borrowed built the gas facility, a similar one like that. So now, when the facility comes, we have 2 gas facilities, Ghana Gas and this one, which is going to treat gas from. So that is why you hear the gas aspect of it, the crude oil. I don't know the crude oil figures, but I'm sure it's around 7 barrels per day.
All right, so would this necessarily transform the fortunes of our economy as a country? I mean, more gas is coming, more oil is coming to add to our existing reserves. I mean, is this a game changer as it's being touted?
If we had planned, it is. Gas. So you can't stop that. So imagine for us, we don't have any plans. You utilize the gas. Next question is, what is gas? You know, if as a country the planning has been well, then yes, it will fortune to the economy. But this is which where the needed investment for the auxiliary infrastructure to be built has not been. So for now, it's early to show you the impact on the economy, because the power plants that needs to use these plants, the power plant that use this gas, the thermal enclave. These guys are going to be in the western region, like, which is where Ghana got it. So for now, it's for me to tell you what the impact of our economy will be. But in general, we have more hydrocarbons in the economy, it's supposed to boost production.
All right. Many thanks for your time, Kwadwo Poku. And Kwadwo Poku is an energy expert. He's been sharing his thoughts on the production of gas from the Sankofa Jinyami project, which is expected to come out or to come off next week, 26 June. Now, still in the program, the Agric Ministry has signed an agreement with Israel for the training of some 50 Ghanaian agric students in the country to improve vegetable production for exports. The Technology Exchange Program will offer training to students in modern agric practices, especially in the area of greenhouse vegetable production.
And in between Ghana and Israel will commit the two nations to a long-term agreement for the cooperation and training of students in modern agriculture technologies, with key interest in greenhouse farming. According to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Yakuto, the initiative will help the nation step up vegetable production.
There are graduates and diplomas that we've taken on for a very intensive 3 months training in greenhouse technology, and from there they go to Israel for 11 months to be attached to greenhouse farms, to learn, to actually have hands-on. So they come out 11 months being complete farmers, and the government of Ghana, through my ministry, is going to help them to settle as farmer business farmers, where the production of vegetables will be something that they will do to grow their businesses, so that we can increase our exports of these vegetables to match or even exceed our proceeds from cocoa. We have such huge potential, and through the concept of these greenhouse villages, as I spoke to you in my address, I spoke about greenhouse villages. 3 of them, one in Akumadan, one in Kaswa area, and the other which is actually running and training at the moment. This is what is going to be the nucleus of a new concept coming to Ghana to develop our vegetable industry.
Under the agreement, the students will be paid monthly stipends for their 11-month internship in Israel to enable them set up their own greenhouse farms upon their return to Ghana. Ami Mel is the Israeli ambassador to Ghana.
This is a program of study and work. They're going to study 1 day a week, and the rest of the days are going to work. So they will learn hands-on what they have to do in the different sectors. Now, they're going to work in different sectors, not only in greenhousing, and they're going to be exposed to really good, advanced technologies that you cannot get them, up till now at least, in Ghana. And we are sure that they will learn a lot.
And on that note, to wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi. You are free. Hello.